Hi everyone, I'm here with Dave Baguette, who is the founder and CEO of Inky. Thank you so much for taking the time, Dave.
You're welcome. Great to be here.
So tell us a little bit about Inky and your company.
So Inky is a new company, we're a relatively new startup, and we have a product called PhishFence, which protects against a new kind of phishing attack that we call Deepsea phishing. And I can explain what that is in some detail if you're interested, but at a high level, it's phishing mails that hide from people and hide from software. So the attackers know everybody's using training software now. So they find ways to make the email look really convincingly like it's from a particular brand, let's say Google or Bank of America, in a way a person can't see the difference. But they also use techniques that hide from the software filters that people are running, because they know people are also running email protection software. So they'll do things like hide the brand names using edits to the name. They'll, for example, DocuSign, they might leave out the I and register a new domain, docusgn.com. Or they might use a different kind of A, like a Greek alpha instead of a Latin A, to hide from the software. So these deep-sea phishing attacks, they're lurking below the surface and they're rampant now, and this is what we protect against. We have what we call machine learning algorithms that make the software look at the mail kind of like a person would and identify which brand or entity it's from. Whether it's from a person in your organization or whether it's from a major brand, the software looks at it, kind of like on Facebook when it asks you, hey, that looks like your sister, do you want to tag her? They've trained computer vision models to do that. We do that with other things in the mail, like the imagery, the text, and that sort of thing. So we're responsive to this new kind of attack that the attackers are leveling against organizations.
I really like this concept of deep sea phishing. It's definitely unique and I haven't heard it before.
You can imagine the image that I use is, you know those lanternfish that are like, they have the huge amount of teeth and the lantern on their head and they're incredibly scary? Mm-hmm. This is the way we should envision these things because they're really nasty and it only takes one person to get suckered by one of these and you just wired $2 million to organized crime.
Wow.
I mean, this is the damage that can be done.
It's pretty surreal. So tell us about what news you're announcing this week at the show.
Yeah, so we have just now released a free version of our software. So we primarily provide the software to enterprises. Mm-hmm. So companies that pay us to protect them against these phishing attacks. But we have a version now that works with Outlook.com accounts, so the free Microsoft consumer mail account, and with Gmail accounts, that anyone can go and use this as a public service. And Inky will then analyze your mail. So let's say you get a mail as a consumer, and you're not sure whether that's a real mail from American Express or whether it's a phishing mail. Now you can go install Inky, and each one of these, it's like an app store. There's an add-in on Outlook.com. You can just add it right in, and it shows up right next to your regular Outlook.com, and it analyzes the mail, and it says what Inky thinks about the message, good or bad.
So I saw you presenting earlier. What would you say are 2 or 3 big takeaways for the audience from your presentation?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is it's an arms race. The attackers are not stupid, right? And the amount of money they can make from one effective attack is so great, they're going to continuously innovate. So we're the defensive side of the arms race. And so if you think you're protected on phishing, think again, right? So we're focusing on the long tail, these new attacks, and we know they're going to keep getting smarter and smarter. So we feel like our job's never going to be done. We're always going to be making the software smarter and harder to fool. So that's the number one takeaway, that it's an arms race and you're never really done. You always have to look at your protective perimeter and all of your technologies you're using. And sometimes, customers get frustrated. I'm spending all this money on cyber. Why do I need all these solutions? It's good to rationalize the solutions, but you never want to get complacent and feel like you're done. Because especially with something that's as easy to exploit as phishing, you're never going to be done because the attackers are going to keep getting smarter and smarter and smarter. That's one takeaway. The other takeaway is I walked through a couple examples to really show people, here's an email that I can show you and tell you it's a phishing mail, and you still can't tell me that it's phishing, what sign of phishing there is. You can't tell it's a forgery. And the message there is training's really important. You should always train your users on phishing awareness. It's not sufficient though, because attackers are now using imagery, HTML, that's so accurate that a person can't tell the difference. So the greatest example of this is one of the examples that I used in my talk, which was a fake American Express mail. It looked like it was from American Express. It said, hey, someone logged into using your card in China,
Sure.
right? Wasn't really from American Express. That one of my colleagues got that mail, got phished with that mail, and sent it to me. And my first reaction was, are you sure it doesn't look like a phish to me? It looks like a legit. Are you sure it's not a legitimate Amex mail? You should call Amex and make sure they don't. Because I was fooled by this. This is my whole business, right? So these are really, really sophisticated now.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate world we live in today. These cyber attackers are getting much more sophisticated, and yeah, phishing is a very scary, scary threat that's out there.
And it's cheap to send mail, right? So there's no barrier to these guys doing this.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. So, final question.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Infosecurity Group doing this event on the East Coast here in Boston?
I love it. I love the fact that it's in Boston. I'm an alum from MIT. I did my undergraduate at University of Maryland on the East Coast, and then I did my graduate work here in Boston at MIT. I think it's a great tech community, and it's a great event. And we need an East Coast anchor security conference. And so if this is the beginning of that, I'm all for it.
I couldn't agree more, and we're super excited to be a part of it too. Well, thank you very much for your
Thanks.
time. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Looking forward to more things that are happening from Inky.
Yes.